People who don't know you that well enough, they'll ask, hey, what are you doing now? What are you working as now? Or I'm stay at home dad. Usually the conversation drops. Sometimes mothers don't know how to react with fathers bringing the kids around. Because of the way the society has brought us up, like as a mother, I notice terrible.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, what's this father doing here? You go into a male toilet, sometimes you don't see anything that allows you to change your kids. I don't have a platform that I can change my kids in my toilet, which is so commonly available in the female toilet.
Did you feel any societal pressure or judgments being a stay-at-home dad? Lex, could you introduce yourself and explain how did we go from becoming colleagues to becoming cousins?
It was colleagues first, man. Okay, anyway, my name is Lex. This is simple, man. I think in everything that I do, I'm always concerned about how people can feed the environment. Always thinking how we can create the right kind of environment for people so that they thrive. It's never just about surviving. I think we are more than that. So in little ways, when I deal with my kids, when I look at my wife, or even my helper at work, I'm always thinking just a default mode to always think about how can we make our environment better. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
What's becoming a dad for the first time like? And what was running through your mind?
Or whatever you planned for before, doing this and that, it's kind of thrown out the window. At the moment, it's just about how can I be there for my wife? What does she need? Naturally, at that moment, I wouldn't say I was exactly being present with my wife. In fact, why I say that is because I think I was more focused on making sure that she's okay. I was making sure that she's being fed. I remember taking out a frozen pizza from the freezer to toast it. I told her, you know what, go and shower, go and wash up. So I was behaving like a very ops person, go and do all this. I was being present with the task and the action more than I was being present with her, to be honest.
Okay.
At that moment.
Given a second, if you could redo that, you would do differently?
I think I would. I think given the years that have come, a lot of reflection with the kids as well. I think being present is not about just making sure that she's alright, she's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's really about experiencing it together, right? Whatever she was feeling on her body, of course, I'm not going to feel it on my body as well.
Yeah.
But it's the whole point of just sitting down with whatever she is going through and just embracing that moment together. I think that's what showing up means. That's what being present means.
So fast forward a little bit, you became a stay-at-home dad. Before that, you had a pretty decent career. I know your colleagues as well, and they have rave reviews of you. So I think you definitely enjoy your job. You can share a little bit about that and what made you want to transit to become a stay-at-home dad.
I think it's funny, right? Whenever I hear stay-at-home dad, I'm always thinking, I didn't stay home much. Yeah. So it's the context is this: when the decision to become a stay-at-home dad was quite a natural thing. It wasn't very much like we discussed this before, and when we have a kid, they're gonna stay home. It wasn't like that. It was very much falling back to when we were in a relationship, when we got married. We were talking about if we ever have a kid, one of us should stay home to nurture the kid, and this was informed through our interactions with kids during our first job, right, which I shared about. We're seeing primary 1 kids on a daily basis, and every time we look at them, some of them, the behaviors would have been categorized as disruptive or naughty by teachers, for example. But we saw how they were just mirrors of parents, right? We saw how much responsibility or how much influence the parents have on these kids, and they're showing all these behaviors in class. And that got us to think if you ever have kids, one of us really got to be the compass at home with you guys. And why did I say we didn't really plan for me to be at home is because at that point, I was running a co-working space community. When our daughter was due was when COVID hit. And at that point, it was a case of me being fair to the investors to really sit down and really look at this we are breaking even. We can move on to the next phase. We can scale and develop the next phase, and that helps us to scale the business further. But we don't know what COVID is going to be like. And COVID is something that hits co-working space quite bad and communities quite bad. It's going to change the way we organize our life and work. So as part of a conversation, and also I have to say, part of it is also my daughter arrived. So it was let's pull the plug on the co-working space project, maybe revive it at some point if the opportunity comes up. And the other impetus was back then my wife just started teaching and she was still under a bond. So naturally, there was not much of a discussions on naturally I'm the one that should be at home to guide because first there was something that we agreed upon, one of us should be home. And the circumstances at that moment when our daughter arrived was as such. So naturally I became the one.
What are some of the greatest joys and most rewarding moments that you had when you were semi-staying at home?
Sometimes when I bring my kids, my daughter and my son, when they're still young, right? You bring them to the playgrounds. You see helpers. You see kids being brought up by people who are not their parents. And a lot of times, because of the developmental speed, right? One moment they are crawling, and the next moment they are standing and walking. In a blink of an eye, you missed it, right? I had the luxury of doing, right? Being at home, I can witness the exact moment when that happened. And I think that means a lot, right? The moment, imagine if I'm at work, morning I go, my kid is still crawling, and I come back, he's standing around, right? That's a whole difference. So in the morning when I go to work, before I go to work, my kids are not even saying much yet, but when I come home, they can call Papa. That's a whole like, imagine just in the 8 hours at work, what have I missed, right? But those are the smaller part. The joy of being a father or being a parent is really being able to show up for my kids when things are not going right for them, right? Those kind of moments, like today, if you buy an ice cream and it drops on the floor, you probably go and buy a new ice cream. But to a kid, when the ice cream drops, sometimes it's not so much about buying the next one, right? You probably hear like, no, I want this one that dropped. Right? There's this particular one that dropped. So it's really not so much about the act of replacing it, but having the opportunity to show up for her or him, to sit down and understand like why the ice cream that dropped meant so much to them.
Wow.
And to sit with that, like not to rectify it. Like there's two ways, right? Like I could, if I was in my previous state of the way I approached the pregnancy, the labor with my wife, let's clean up or like let's focus on it. But there was a moment to be shared, like, hey, to sit down with the emotions that he's experiencing about the ice cream that fell. Or sometimes they just see very simple things. Today you walk past on the way to public transport, you probably hold your phone and just walk or just listen to something or just watch Netflix and go, this is what adults are like, right? But for a kid, they see the simplest thing. Hey, there's a snail on the floor. There's a leaf on the floor, like the 1,001 leaves that drops every day. There's a leaf on the floor. And it's that moment that you sit down with them to go through that leaf and just look at the leaf. Hey, there's a brown leaf. Oh, yeah, it's a brown leaf. You'll be surprised, like a year later, you remember that's a brown leaf. And I shared that moment with my dad and my mom. Right? I've no qualms with grandparents or helpers bringing kids up, but I just feel like it's a privileged position to be able to be at those moments with kids. And being able to have that opportunity to be intentional with my kid is something that I find the greatest joy.
Do you feel like a little bit alone?
It does. I mean, I would imagine this is the case for any minority. Like if you're female in a male-dominated sphere, you feel the same. So I'm a male operating in a traditionally female domain.
Correct.
So there are few factors here. I mean, first, I have to say sometimes mothers don't know how to react with fathers bringing the kids around. I encountered those times before. Like as a mother, because of the way the society has brought us up, like as a mother, I notice father role. No, I'm like, what's this father doing here? So you also don't know how to interact with your father. But somehow the father is doing and saying the same things as you. But kind of an oddball situation. I imagine this is how my minority friends feel like whenever they are in a majority situation. So I see it as a part and parcel of being a minority in that sense. Yeah. So like a very common thing structurally, right? You go into a male toilet, sometimes you don't see anything that allows you to change your kids. There are times that I don't get to change my kids except being in a handicapped toilet. And I feel bad because like I'm denying I'm denying someone who's physically challenged from being able to use the facilities that are designed for them.
Yeah.
Because as a father, I don't have a platform that I can change my kids in my toilet, which is so commonly available in the female toilet. I think I see a shift in that, but more can be done.
Did you feel any societal pressure or judgments being a stay-at-home dad?
I think so far in my immediate peer group there isn't. But for people who are the older generation, I think it's a struggle to understand. It's a struggle to understand because from a society standpoint, the male is the provider.
Yeah.
You go out and earn money, make sure your family has that. The judgment does come from the elders, and I have to say at the initial ones, elders, I mean not just our elders, but elders in general.
Yeah.
To a point, like sometimes you meet grandparents at the playground, and like, hey, how come you're not working?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, you stay home. Then usually the conversation ends there.
Yeah.
But of course, to be cordial, they don't talk further. Yeah, but you know, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a society we go against.
So judgment and like respect, do you feel like you're looked down as a stay-at-home dad? Is there?
I do struggle with it. Like sometimes there is this idea, it's a combination of factors, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole expectation, or maybe the way I was brought up, it was more like there's always this expectation as a male, you're the one out there, you're the one braving the storms and all that's out there. So naturally, with that kind of worldview, the kind of internal perspective that I initially have, it's more of a need to have to transform that myself.
Yeah.
Right? It's less so much other people are judging me at first. I think the first judgment came from myself. Given how I was brought up. I was brought up in a family whereby my dad is the one working, my mom is the one at home taking care. Right? So everything else is in order because of my mom. So it naturally grows up this idea that, hey, as a man, I should be like my father out there working.
Yeah.
Like in moments whereby simple things, right? Like you go to, like I was talking about peer groups, we go to peer groups, right? Sometimes it's not peer, I mean acquaintance, like, go back to service or things like that. Sometimes people who don't know you that well enough, they ask, hey, what are you doing now? What are you working as now? Or I'm stay at home dad. Usually the conversation drops.
Yeah.
And like I explained, sometimes it's not that they want to drop it, but really they got no experience to correlate to that. But then at that moment, if I was already judging myself, I would have taken that the drop of conversation is due to the fact that that person is judging me. Right? I would think like, oh, he's working, he's earning money, and he's thinking like, wow, you stay at home, very free. So there are moments that some passing remarks does get me, and I think it's because the judgment started from within, stay at home, nothing to do one, right? Like, you just prepare and then make the kids to sleep.
How true is that?
I think you make your own story. Like today, if you want to be a parent, you want to be a parent and stay home to just make sure the kids can survive.
Yeah.
It's not that tough, to be honest. In the age that we are in, given the resources that we have these days.
Thank you, Singapore.
I mean, I'm speaking on the average income. Of course, there are people struggling, but the case here is it's not too tough if you just want to make sure the kids survive. But showing up for a kid which I value, that's tough though.
To wrap things up, any last words to aspiring stay-at-home dads, or just a general message to men out there?
I think as men, a lot of times in the society we're in, we tend to be, there are many moments, there are more moments that we are the majority than women, right? And it's easy to take that for granted. In my situation, and instead of that, you suddenly become a minority, right? And that's the first-hand experience anybody can have to go through what is minority. And as sometimes this experience enlightens me, like, hey, sometimes I look at my Muslim friends or my Indian friends, are like, these are some feelings that they probably had and never shared with anybody. So if you're going to be a stay-at-home dad, or if you are already a stay-at-home dad, two things, right? Be in the know of when things you're not feeling right, and know that at those moments there are people you can reach out to. Your wife, for example, the immediate circle of people who care about you. Know that there are people who can relate to that, right? If you're feeling like a minority, we have tons of minorities in Singapore. You can reach out to them. They probably can relate to how you feel. Then talk about a female worker in a male-dominated environment, for example. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, we've come to the end of it. On our skills interview. So yeah, thanks, but I don't know how to get.
You need to come up with a standard.
We need to cut
You
that.
need to come up with a standard thing.
See you in the next one. Bye.
That's one thing.